Make a joyful shout or noise to the Lord, all you lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before His presence with singing. Know that the Lord, He is God. It is He who has made us and not we ourselves. We are His people and the sheep of His pasture. Verse 4. Enter, this is telling you how to come to God to worship Him, to fellowship, to commune with Him. When it says make a joyful shout to the Lord, that's talking about, and it goes on down, it's talking about singing. Enter His gates with thanksgiving and enter His courts with praise. Now, whether it was talking about the tabernacle, whether it was talking about the temple, or whether it's talking about today when we enter in to pray before God, notice there is an order to this. Now, when you were coming in to Jerusalem, and when you were coming into the temple there in Jerusalem, the very first thing you came to were gates. Those are on the outside. Then you would come into the court, which was the outer court. Then you actually went into the temple, to the holy place. Now, not just anybody went in there. You had to have a pass to get in there. And usually that pass had written on it, priest. You just everybody couldn't go in there. But everybody could come in the court, the outer court. And then, one time a year, the high priest would go into, on the inside, would enter from the holy place behind the veil into the Holy of Holies, which is where the Ark of the Covenant and the mercy seat were. So when people came, people came all the time to Jerusalem to worship. And there was a pattern, there was a way that you did this. And that is, when you, matter of fact, if you will look through the book of Psalms, you will notice that there are categories above Psalms. Sometimes you will find one that says, a psalm of ascension. A psalm of ascension, one of the things that you have to remember, Jerusalem is in the mountain, okay? It's not down in the lowlands like Jericho. It's up in the mountains. So whenever you came to Jerusalem, and just when you were coming from, it didn't matter what direction you were coming from, as you started approaching Jerusalem, you would see it sitting up on the hill. You'd see it. And so as you were approaching Jerusalem, you were ascending. So as you were coming into Jerusalem, you have to understand, people didn't travel by themselves. When you had feast times, there would be families, there would be cities and communities that would travel together. Well, as they started getting close to Jerusalem, they didn't sing 100 bottles of beer on the wall, to pass the time. They would sing what we have in our Bible as the Psalms or songs of ascension. As they were going up, they had songs. They had these hymns that they would sing. So by the time they got to Jerusalem, they were already ready to worship. They were already in an attitude of praise and reverence as they were coming into the city. So as they arrived, they would come into the outer gate, coming in by giving thanksgiving. And then as they entered into that court, which is where they worship, they couldn't go in to the holy place. So this is where they would have their worship, is in that outer court. That's where you gave praise. Both of them are necessary. Both of them are appropriate. What's the difference in the two? Praise is to compliment and admire God for all of His virtues and simply for who He is. That's praise. Thanksgiving is just exactly what you would think it would be. Thanksgiving expresses gratitude for what He has done specifically for you. So, the thanksgiving, thanking God for what He has done for you, that's when you're entering in. And then as you get into the holy court, the outer court, then you start offering praise. And that is, you just magnify Him because of who He is and because He's worthy to be praised. Now, that's a really good pattern to observe in your everyday prayer time. There is nothing wrong with petitioning God for things. But somewhere in there, there needs to be thanksgiving and there needs to be praise also. I mean, the Bible tells us over in the book of Hebrews for us to come bold, over in chapter 4, to come boldly to the throne of God. He didn't expect you to come in there all mealy mouse and Casper milk toast. I mean, He expects you to understand the relationship that we have with Him for you to come boldly in there. You don't come in going, Lord, if you're not too busy, I've got some things that now I don't want to bother you. I know running the universe is, I mean, I've never done it, but I would imagine it's a really big job. And I know you got a lot on your mind besides my little bitty problems, but I really need to talk to you. That's not the way you come in. You come in with thanksgiving, thanking God for all the stuff. What you're doing is you're telling a memorial. You're remembering what all He has done for you in the past. Lord, I remember when I was down. I remember when we had a hard time. I remember when we were sick. I remember when, and you showed up. And I thank you for healing me. I thank you for meeting all of my need according to your riches and glory by Christ Jesus. I thank you. I remember that time I was so troubled with that problem, and the peace of God just came over me like a smooth salve. It went. Father, I just thank you for that. I thank you for taking away that burden of all of that anxiousness. And you just thank Him. Thank Him that He died for you. Thank Him that He healed you. Thank you that He prospers you. Just thank Him. And then you just start bragging on Him. You just start telling Him how awesome He is. And He loves to hear it. And when you start bragging on God, He goes, yep, that's my boy. At that time, usually when He says, you come on up here and ask whatever you want. This whole thing flows a lot smoother when you do this, instead of the only time God ever hears you is when you need something.